Imagine now, as you relax deeply, that your mind starts to drift, like a leaf in the wind, soft and effortless, floating into new perspectives. Notice, just for a moment, how the experience of sadness has its place. It's a part of the landscape, yet not the whole picture. As you observe, you realize that sadness, just like every other feeling, has a function. Its role is to signal change, to show you where attention is needed, where something inside may be asking to be understood, released or transformed. It's not the absence of joy, but the presence of an invitation. Sometimes it's easy to overlook the deeper meanings that sadness can bring. But when you allow yourself to rest in it, just as you might rest in the quiet between two breaths, you begin to understand how sadness, too, it's a form of movement, a dance, a flow that has a wisdom for you. You might even find, in this relaxed state, that sadness is not something to fight against, but something to listen to. Because you see, all emotions, even sadness, have a way of leading you towards growth. It's like the wisdom of a river that carves new paths over time, reshaping its course in unexpected yet beautiful ways. And just like the river, the sadness, when gently accepted, reveals its message, its lesson. In fact, as you begin to think of sadness, you might notice how it's already started shifting within you. The belief that sadness must stay forever begins to dissolve. You realize deep down that emotions, like all things, they're temporary. They come, they stay for a time, and then they pass, making room for new emotions, new experiences, new understandings. You may now begin to realize you have the innate ability to process and release sadness, just as naturally as you breathe in and out. With every breath, you're sending your awareness to the very source of sadness, where it started, and noticing how it loosens, softens, and transforms. And in this transformation, you may discover that sadness carries within it the seed for future strength, understanding, and compassion. And as you embrace this idea, you may find yourself naturally becoming more resilient. The belief arises within you that you can navigate through sadness with ease, knowing it's only a part of a much bigger and richer emotional tapestry. You begin to see sadness not as something to avoid, but as something you can move through, just as effortlessly as you step through a door to a new room. A room filled with hope, clarity, and wisdom. And perhaps even now, in this moment, your subconscious is finding more subtle yet powerful ways to release the hold that sadness may have once had, effortlessly shifting the patterns, integrating the lessons, and paving the way for new beliefs to emerge. You might begin to understand that, while sadness might have a moment in your life, it doesn't define you. You're more than your emotions. You're the space in which they arise, and the awareness that allows them to pass, like clouds in the sky, moving, changing, never permanent, always just a part of the great and expansive whole that's you. And now, as you relax even deeper, you may begin to realize the power of the choice within you. Every time sadness arises, you can choose how to respond. You can choose to allow it to show you something meaningful, and then release it when its purpose has been fulfilled. You can choose to see the other side of sadness, the understanding that joy, peace, and fulfillment, they're always within reach, waiting for the perfect moment to emerge. And as you breathe deeply, feeling grounded, you may even begin to understand on a deep level that sadness can open the door to growth and healing. It's not something to fear or resist, but rather something to acknowledge, accept, and release in your own time. And in doing so, you allow space for new, empowering beliefs to emerge. You now know, without any doubt, you have all the resources that you need to transform sadness into a pathway to a deeper understanding, connection, and peace. And when you're ready in your own time, you can move forward carrying with you the sense of calm acceptance, knowing You're always in control of how you experience your emotions, including sadness. So as you continue to relax deeper now, your mind becomes like a sponge, effortlessly absorbing new ideas, new beliefs, and new understandings. And every breath you take, it allows you to feel lighter, more open, and more receptive to the wisdom your subconscious is ready to embrace. And with each gentle exhale, your mind becomes even more capable of letting go of old, outdated ideas that no longer serve you, and creating space for new, empowering beliefs to take root. And as you drift further into this calm state, you may begin to sense that sadness is not something that defines you, but rather a visitor, a temporary feeling that, like the weather, can shift and change. And with this new understanding, you might notice that the more you allow sadness to be what it is, the less power it has over you. It simply passes through, leaving behind its wisdom and making room for something else. And as you focus on this idea, you might notice how much easier it becomes to release sadness as you acknowledge it, let it be, and allow it to move through you. There's no need to struggle with it, because you now understand that emotions naturally shift. Just as the sky can change from cloudy to clear, so too can your emotional state shift, with ease, without resistance, and without effort. And in this space, as you rest even deeper, imagine how you can, at any moment, simply choose to see sadness as a signal, as a signpost, showing you where your attention is needed, where growth is possible. The wisdom of your subconscious knows exactly how to use sadness to guide you towards greater self-awareness, understanding, and healing. And even now, you may feel yourself gently making space for this wisdom effortlessly. Imagine just for a moment that you're standing on the shore of a river. You can see sadness flowing by, like the water, and you realize the river will always flow. But as you watch the water move, you also understand it doesn't stay, it moves on, just as sadness will move on, always making way for the next emotion, the next experience. There's no need to hold onto sadness. It moves naturally, just like the flow of the river. And as you become more aware of the flow, you begin to realize that sadness, too, has a rhythm, a natural ebb and flow, like the tide. You don't have to control it, fight it, or hold it. You simply allow it to rise and fall, like the gentle waves that kiss the shore and then return to the sea. With every breath, this understanding becomes clearer. The belief arises within you, naturally and effortlessly. The sadness is temporary, and it holds no power over you. You're simply the observer of it. As you observe, you become more and more capable of releasing it, just like a balloon that floats up into the sky. Sadness simply rises, and you can release it with ease, letting it drift away, knowing it doesn't need to stay. And perhaps as you reflect more deeply, you may begin to notice how sadness, once understood, becomes a catalyst for change. A belief arises now at a deep unconscious level. The sadness doesn't mean something's wrong. It simply means you're ready for transformation, ready for growth. It's the space where new awareness, new opportunities, and new beliefs can emerge. You may even sense how sadness, rather than being a burden, is in fact an invitation to step into a new, richer experience of yourself and life. This belief is becoming stronger now, deeply embedded in your subconscious mind. The belief that sadness is a doorway, a key, to deeper understanding and to future growth. You no longer need to fear it, resist it, or hold on to it. Instead, you can step forward, knowing that sadness is a part of you, but not all of you. And as you continue to relax, your unconscious mind begins to create new connections, new pathways, to make it easier for you to move through sadness with grace and ease. Every time sadness arises, you know, without a doubt, it's temporary, it's a signal, and it's something you can process and release. With each experience, you become more skilled at understanding and transforming sadness into something empowering. You might even find the more you allow sadness to to be what it is, the less it has any hold on you, like a shadow that disappears when the light shines upon it. Sadness fades naturally as you embrace it fully, honor its message, and allow it to pass. And in this passing, new positive emotions arise. You may feel your inner strength growing as you release and transform sadness, feeling lighter and more expansive, ready for the joy, peace, and clarity that naturally follows. And as your subconscious mind continues to integrate these beliefs, you begin to notice how your relationship with sadness changes. No longer is it something to avoid or suppress, but something to understand, process, and release. You now realize deep within that you have the power to shift your emotional state at any time, because sadness, just like every emotion, is not permanent. It's only one of the many colours in the beautiful spectrum of your emotional world. As you breathe deeply now, the belief settles in your mind that sadness, though it may visit, is not permanent. You have the ability to move through it, to learn from it, and allow it to pass, making room for new, empowering emotions and greater emotional balance. With every breath, this belief grows stronger and more automatic. You can now embrace sadness with ease, understanding its role in your life, and releasing it whenever it's ready to move on. And as this belief settles deeply, you become more and more capable of living your life with emotional freedom, knowing that no emotion has the power to define you, to limit you, or to control you. You're free to experience them, process them, and release them, always moving forward into a more peaceful, joyful, and fulfilling state. As you continue to breathe slowly and comfortably, imagine yourself becoming more and more at ease, as if you're floating on a gentle wave, drifting peacefully, effortlessly, carried forward by the natural flow of your thoughts. And with each breath, you release more and more tension, and the space within you grows wider, deeper, ready to allow more positive, empowering ideas to settle inside. Notice as you focus on this peaceful place, how easy you can allow the sadness to come and go. It's as if sadness is a guest that visits, stays for a while, and then leaves, just as naturally as it came. And in this relaxed state, you may realize emotions like sadness, they're simply part of the ebb and flow of life. You don't need to control it or hold on to it, because you're free to let it rise and fall like the tides of the ocean. And as you breathe even deeper now, the realization begins to settle within you. The sadness is only a passing emotion. It may come to visit, but it can never stay forever. You know that every emotion has its time and place, and sadness is no different. And as you allow sadness to move through you, you begin to see it's simply an invitation to grow, an opportunity to learn more about yourself. You begin to accept that sadness doesn't need to be feared, resisted, or avoided. It's simply an experience, a moment, and then it passes, just as easily as it came. In fact, you might even begin to sense, every time sadness arises, it brings with it a gift, a lesson, a new understanding, an opportunity for change. And as you accept sadness without judgment, you may notice how much easier it is to let go. It's almost as if sadness, instead of weighing you down, is now simply a signal, pointing you towards something new, something important, something that will help you grow. And as you let this understanding sink in, you begin to see sadness. It's not something to hold on to, but something that shows you the way forward. You can use sadness as a guide, a map to discovering more of your needs, your desires, and your emotional world. With each experience of sadness, you uncover new wisdom, new clarity, and deeper understanding. And just as you now realize that sadness can guide you, you understand you have the ability to let it go, as easily as you open your hand to release a bird into the sky. Each time you experience sadness, you begin to trust you can let it flow through you, without resistance, without struggle. Just as a river flows effortlessly into the sea, sadness flows through you. and you, in turn, grow stronger with each passing wave. You no longer need to hold on to it, because you know, deep down, it's simply a visitor, a messenger, and not something that defines you. Imagine, just for a moment, you're standing in a peaceful forest. The trees, tall and strong, sway gently in the breeze. And you realize that, just like the trees, you too are grounded, strong, and able to weather any storm, any emotion. As you watch the breeze move through the trees, you begin to understand emotions, like the wind, pass through. They come and go. And just as you remain strong and steady, rooted deeply in the earth, your emotions, too, they're fleeting, allowing you to remain balanced and peaceful no matter what arises. And with each breath, you may begin to understand more clearly that sadness, like every emotion, it's a temporary experience. It doesn't last. You now have the power to allow sadness to flow through you, to acknowledge it, to honour it, and then let it go. And as you let it go, you create more room within yourself for joy, for peace, for growth. Perhaps as you reflect on these ideas, you may begin to realize that sadness is not something to resist, but something to embrace with understanding. And in this embrace, you may find the sadness becomes lighter, easier to let go of. You no longer need to hold on to it, because you can see that just as the seasons change, so too do your emotions. Each season has its time, and sadness has its time. But it always makes way for new growth, new experiences, new emotions. And in this moment, as you continue to breathe deeply, notice how much easier it is now to release sadness when it arises. You no longer need to fear it. You no longer need to hold on to it. You simply notice it, understand it, and let it go. You may even feel a sense of relief, a deep knowing that sadness is simply a part of the emotional landscape that you navigate with ease. You understand emotions are like the weather. They come and go. And you, at your core, you're unaffected by their passing. And as you continue to breathe, you realize you're more resilient than you ever knew. You can move through sadness with grace, and in doing so, you grow stronger, wiser, and more connected to your true self. You now see sadness not as a weight, but as a tool that allows you to evolve, to grow, and to understand yourself at a deeper level. Now, as your subconscious mind absorbs these ideas, they take root. The belief arises that sadness is not a burden, but a guide. The belief that you have the ability to release sadness, to transform it, and move forward with strength and ease grows more powerfully within you. Each breath, you become more connected to this inner wisdom, this natural ability to process emotions and to move forward with grace. As you continue to breathe deeply, you may notice your relationship with sadness has changed. It no longer has power over you. You are in control. You are the observer, the guide, and the creator of your emotional experience. You are free to release sadness whenever it arises, and in doing so, you open yourself to the new, more empowering emotions that are always waiting to emerge. As you begin to notice, with every breath you take and with every beat of your heart, every day gets better and better and better.